Hi, this is Elizabeth from Felted Sky Studio, here with the instructions for our Fall Leaves Needle Felting Kit. So if you've purchased the kit, you'll just want to have a couple other things ready before you get started. The most important one is a foam mat for needle felting. So this is the one that we carry, but you can use any other mat that you might already own or want to purchase somewhere else. And as long as it's dense enough and a thick enough foam so that the needle will not poke through it, that's what you need. Also, you could have some scissors ready to go. We're going to need a scissors that you cut paper with, and then I like to save my fabric cutting scissors for cutting the wool. And I'm going to cut the paper with just an old pair of scissors. So let me go ahead and open up the kit and tell you a little bit more about what's inside. So the first thing that I want to mention is that the needle comes in this piece of foam board, and that's to protect the needle so that it doesn't get bent, but also it's to keep it safe because these are very sharp and it definitely hurts if you get poked with one. So especially if you have kids or pets in your house, be sure to keep your needle in the piece of foam board when you're not using it. Or another place you might want to stick it would be in the side of your mat. So it makes kind of a yucky sound, but that's another place that you could store the needle. So in here I also want to just mention what these things are. This is called pre-felt. So these are our thick pieces of wool that have been partially felted already, and I make this stuff myself on a special machine called a felt loom, and it's really nice to use for this kind of project. In here we also have our wool roving in some nice fall colors, so that's what that is. And then we have this paper, which is the patterns for the leaves. So that's what we'll be cutting out first. And then the instruction sheet. So I just want to mention that obviously you're already watching the video, which is great because that's the best way to learn. But if you do want to follow along with the instruction sheet, each step is numbered. And by each numbered step, there's also another little set of numbers, and that is the time stamp on the video. So that's very handy just because if you're following along, you can fast forward and rewind and get exactly to where you want to go in the video by looking at the timestamps. And now I think we're ready to get started. Okay, so the first thing to do is to get out the leaf patterns that are on these pieces of paper, and then you'll need to cut those out with whatever scissors you have that works well with paper. And I have worked ahead and I have already cut out my leaf shapes, so there they are. So then we'll match up each shape with the right color of pre-felt. So here we have the maple leaf on this pinkish red color, and then on this more orangey brownish red we have the dogwood leaf. On the green we have the birch. On the orange we have the sweet gum. On brown, we'll have the oak leaf, and on yellow, the tulip poplar. So those are all matched up, and then we'll need to get a scissors. So hopefully you have a sharp scissors that cuts fabric and felt well. So I have a nice pair here that I like to use. So then we're going to take our scissors and cut out the shapes from the pre-felt. So I just like to hold my leaf pattern on with my other hand and do my cutting, but you could also get a straight pin and put a pin through it right in the middle there to help hold the paper on while you're doing your cutting. So I'll just show you with this one what it looks like to cut it out. I'm at a bit of a funny angle on the video here for cutting, but we'll see what I can do. And it's not going to be exact. We just want to end up with a nice leaf shape in the end. We can put our other colors on top of. Okay, so let me push all of my little pieces out of the way. And there is the maple leaf. Might have a couple little fuzzy pieces that I need to still trim. But that's pretty good. Okay, so I have worked ahead and I went ahead and cut out my other leaf shapes so that we are ready to do our leaf decorating. Okay, so the first leaf we're going to do is this one, the dogwood. So I'm going to leave the one that's finished here so you can see what we're working towards. And the colors we're going to use for this one are this red called Caliente and this darker wine red called Bing Cherry. So what we're going to do is take the Caliente roving and just pull out a piece from the end, something like that, and I'm just going to arrange that on the left side of the leaf. And if you want more, you just would pull off a little bit more and put it right on, and if you want a little less, you just pull some off, and it's very easy to change what you've got on there. So once you have it looking like the amount that you would like on your leaf, then we're just going to take the needle and poke the roving that we just put on. So all we do is just poke down, straight down, and you can hear the needle going into the mat, and that's the sound that it makes. And that's fine with this project, with anything flat really, and even sometimes when you're sculpting, the needle is going to go into the mat, and that's why the mat is there. So that's just part of the needle felting. So we're just going to poke all over the roving we put on until it looks like it's nice and attached, and it will smooth out a bit and not be sticking up and looking quite as fuzzy. So we just poke over it a few times until it looks like it's attached, and that's it. So then we're going to go ahead and put on our midrib and the veins of the leaf. So we're going to do that with the darker red color, Bing Cherry. And for this, I'm just going to pull it out, pull the roving from the tip so that I get, actually if I do it with the white behind, it's easier to see. So I'm just pulling the fibers out so that I get a thinner line. And then I'm going to take that line, and it's fine if it goes off the leaf because we're going to cut all that off at the end, but I'm just going to put the line down and I might pull it out a little bit more even, and then I'm just going to hold it with my other hand, and then I'm going to take the needle and poke right on the line. So that's all it is. So that got about half of the line that I want to have there, and then I'm going to hold right there where I stopped poking and kind of hold and pull so that I get a thin line for the rest of the leaf. So then I'll poke on that line up and back a few times. Make sure that it's secure. And then when I'm done with that, I'm just going to hold and pull off the excess. And we're going to cut off these little strands that are hanging off the leaf at the very end. So now I'm just going to pull out again from the roving and get another thin line going, and then I'm just going to put that on where I want to place a vein, and I'm just going to poke right on that roving down towards the midrib, and then I'll hold here and pull off the excess from that one. You can see I have pretty much there, but that's okay. I'm just going to overlap that on the midrib and poke all of that down. And that's pretty much it. So I'm just going to continue doing that for this whole leaf to get in all the veins that I want to have on the leaf. And we're following that same process, pulling out some thin lines from the end of the roving, and then we just place it where we want it and poke it down. So at this point I'm going to speed up the video so I can move that along, so you can keep watching if you need to as I put on the rest of the veins, and then we'll trim. Okay, so this leaf is finished, and now we just need to pull it up off of the mat. It gets a little bit stuck on there with the fibers that have poked through onto the mat. And then I'm going to grab my scissors, and we just need to trim off the extra wool from around the sides. So you'll need to do this with each leaf. I'm just going to show it for this leaf because it's the same for all of them, but I just like to trim around the outside and get all the way around. And I also like to turn it over, and you can see there's fuzziness sticking through onto the back, and so I like to place my scissors kind of flat on the leaf and just take off some of that fuzz from the back. Most people won't be looking at the back if you're going to arrange these in some kind of holiday decoration, but it's nice to just have a finished look. So that's that, and now we're ready to do the next leaf. So the next leaf we're going to do is this birch leaf, the green one, and the colors that we're going to be using are our medium yellow called Forsythia, and also our green called Cucumber. So I'm just going to take the Forsythia and pull off some from the end, and then I'm just going to arrange this on the leaf, and want it to go out to the edges, and we still want to see some green coming through the yellow. So I want to spread out the wool fibers and not have too much on the leaf. Something like that, and then I will go ahead and poke it all down. So just remembering to keep my other hand out of the way and not poke my fingers. And I'll go ahead and speed up this part, and then we'll talk about putting on our darker green for the veins on this leaf. Okay, so now all of that fiber is attached, and I'm going to put on the midrib and the veins on this leaf the same as we just did on our first dogwood leaf. So again, we will pull out a thin little line from the end of the roving and do this in the same way. So I will go ahead and speed up the video, and if you feel like you need to watch again, you can watch, and if not, you can put on your veins on your own and then fast forward to the next leaf. Okay, so that leaf is finished, and I'll pull it up, and then it will need to be trimmed, but for the sake of the video, we're going to move right along. So our next leaf is the sweet gum, and I'm going to put our finished one over here and the new one here because I can't fit both of these on the mat. So for this leaf, we're going to be using our medium yellow again for Scythia, and also our very bright red called Poppy. So first I'm going to take a little bit of poppy and going to arrange that on the right side. And it has some kind of little piece of dirt in it, so I got that out. So something like that with some orange showing through. And then I'm going to take forsythia and put that in the middle and a little bit more on the left side. And maybe even just a tiny bit more. Okay, so now I will go ahead and poke all of that down. Okay, so that is all poked down, and we're going to get the poppy again and do our veins with the poppy this time. So with this one, it's a little bit different just from the leaf shape, so we're just putting a line from each point basically down into the little stem. So that's what we're going to do with this one, and I will speed it up and you can watch if you want. Okay, so that leaf is finished. So we'll just pull it up and it will need to be trimmed. And we'll get the next one. So now we're ready for the maple leaf. And for this leaf, we're going to be using some of this green called kiwi and some of our orange called pumpkin, and then the brightest yellow called butternut. So first I'm going to take the pumpkin orange and pull off some wispy pieces of that, and I'm going to put one in the middle and one going off to the right and some on the left side. And then I'm going to take the kiwi and we're going to put this just lower on the bottom part of the leaf. So arrange that. So once I have that how I want it, something like that, then I'll go ahead and poke all that down. Okay, so that's pretty well attached now, and time to put in the veins on this leaf. So we have one going down the center and then some thin veins going off to each point on this leaf. So again, you can watch as I put those in or fast forward to the next leaf if you're feeling confident about how to put these in. Okay, so now our maple leaf is finished, and I'll pull that up and that gets trimmed, and then we're on to the next. Okay, so for the tulip poplar, we're going to be using this light yellow called sweet corn and our kiwi green. So what we're going to do is Just like in all the other leaves, we're going to lay out some sweet corn. And then I'll go ahead and poke that down. Okay, so that's all poked down. And we're going to be putting in the veins with the kiwi. And on this leaf, they're a little bit more curved. So we're putting them in the same way. I'm just going to be pushing and pulling the wool a little more. So not holding it in a flat line, but letting it curve a little bit. So here we go with that. Okay, so this leaf is finished, and time to trim that one, and then we just have our oak leaf left to do. So for the oak leaf, I think I need to set it like this. Hopefully you can see that well enough. So we're going to get this color called Spice, and our dark brown called Walnut, and this light tan called Sandstone. So I'm going to take the Spice first and take some very thin kind of wispy pieces and arrange them on the leaf. Maybe not on every little finger coming off, whatever those are called. on most of them. So I have something like that, and then I'm going to come in with the sandstone color and kind of fill in the rest of them and overlap some of the spice color with sandstone. There it is, and I'll go ahead and get that poked down, and then we'll do our veins. Okay, so now I have all of that wool attached, and we just need to put in our veins with the walnut color. So on this leaf, it's hard to even see them because walnut is a similar color to the pre-felt, but basically we're putting one from each, one down the middle, and then from each of these little leaf fingers that are coming off. So I'll go ahead and do that, and we are nearing the end of our leaf project. Okay, so there is our oak leaf finished, and pull it off, and that will get trimmed. Now I also want to just say that after you pull it off sometimes and trim it, you can see places where the wool has pulled up a little bit. When you pull it off of the mat, sometimes that happens. So you also might want to go back over your leaves once they're trimmed and just make sure that all the wool is well attached, and just poke down any places that seem like they might need a little more poking. So here is my set of finished leaves, all nicely trimmed. And I hope that you really enjoyed this project and that you like the way that yours turned out. If you want to check out any of our other kits or find some supplies to make more things, you can find us on Etsy with the username Felted Sky, or we have a website at www.feltedsky.com. So thanks so much for joining me, and as always, happy felting.